Page 240, The Entertainer, a very famous ragtime piece of music, and this is a nice little arrangement of it. Ragtime, predecessor to jazz. Generally, it's a ragged rhythm, meaning there's going to be a lot of syncopation, and the rhythm's going to be interesting to figure out. That'll be the challenge. All right. Add that to the fact you got eighth notes going crazy and all over everywhere, and we'll figure it out. Most everyone who's played piano for very long has a plan of attack. They have a plan on how they go about learning a new piece of music. There's a process they go through. It's all personal. You'll develop your own if you don't have one. For my videos, I use the one that I use because that's the one that I use. Does it make sense? I don't know. So I'm going to use this process to learn this piece of music. The first thing I do is I like to look it over at a high level. How long is it? Well, it's about 2 pages long. Now, there's repeat signs and junks, makes it longer than that, but I'm interested in how much music am I going to deal with, and that's about 2 pages worth, more or less. Doesn't have to be exact, it's an idea. I check the clef signs at the beginning, the treble and bass. Sometimes I'll scan through to see if clef signs change, but that's not too important to me right now. I just want to know at the beginning, what is it, treble and bass, because they could be anything. Then I check the key signature. Here, there's no sharps or flats, so we're either in the key of C major or A minor. And I look at the end, the last measure about page 341 is here. C major chord, figure we're in C major. Generally, a piece will end on its one chord or its tonic. Generally, doesn't have to, but generally it does. However, for the scales and arpeggios, I'm going to go ahead and do both, C major and A minor. Just get my fingers on the right keys at the right whatever. And 4/4 time signature. Now we got eighth notes, a lot of it, 1 and 2 and. So we got to deal with that. I'll take one hand at a time because both hands are busy. And I try and have a fingering that allows me to connect the notes if I can. Not everybody does that. There's different fingering styles, whatever. So here we're starting with the notes are here. But it has an 8VA above the staff in the first measure, so we got to come up here. Here. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And some people that throws them, so I don't get that tied note. Blah. Well, if it's confusing you, then I suggest you temporarily take out the tie and play all the notes. They're just eighth notes. That's all it is. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And once you have an idea of that, then you put the tie in, just hang on to the note rather than playing it again. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. That's all. And then you have to come down. We can't connect that. Come down. The same thing. Come down again here. And then the left hand finishes that. Measure 4. It's the G7 chord. And they want to thumb again. I don't care for that. I don't want to do that. So my second finger's on that D. I'm just going to do that. 3, 2, 1. And I'm right there. Here, rather than 3, 1. I don't care for that. A lot of these books, they'll keep you in a close to a 5-finger position, nice and neat and all that. That makes it harder when you get music where you're starting to move around. We got to learn to crawl with the fingers, and that's what I'm doing here. I'm here in this position, I'm doing, and then I change positions. So on measure 5, again, this rhythm. Well, 1 and 2 and 3. You can see how the notes in the upper staff line up with the notes in the lower staff, and the lower staff is playing on beats 1 and 3. And so that's 1 and 2 and 3. So, and this rhythm is all over the place. It's important to get it. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then that's tied for quite a while. And then this thumb. So it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So that it's this measure 6. The half note gets 2 counts. It's tied from an eighth note, so it's already down. 2 count plus another half a count. So 1 and 2 and 3, and then the others on and 3 and 4 and. So again, measure 5. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. And all we did in measure 6 is we changed hand positions on a repeated note. I do that a lot. Measure 7, 1 and 2 and 3 and. This is the same rhythm we had in the first line. Slightly different notes, but the same rhythm. And then they want you to come down here. Okay, if you would like to prepare that in measure 8 here to here, then I want a different finger than C. I don't want second finger. So what I can do here is scrunch up and use 5, 4 for the end of measure 7. So it's 5. Now I can reach down and get it. It's up to you. The fingering is kind of a personal thing. You have to find one that works for you. But I prefer not to have to go from here to here. So I'm going to change that in 5, 4 at the end of measure 7. And then 4 for measure 8. Now I can reach down. Measure 10, 4. And this is kind of important because this fingering is a 4, 3, 2, 1. It enables us to cover all these notes that are coming in relatively easily. There are other fingerings, but this is good. Here, if you're doing the arpeggios, that's not a problem. That. Then in measure 12, the dotted half note, they don't need a natural sign. It's a natural anyway. But they're being clear because you just had an F sharp. Just so they want you to make sure you play an F natural there. And then you come down. Well, again, I don't want to use the thumb for both. This is measure 12. I don't want to use thumb for the F natural and for the D. Ugh. So what do I do? What do I do? So what I'm going to do, the articulation allows me to do this anyway. You got to lift up. I'm going to do 2, 3, 1. So I'm going to go from here to here. 2, 3, 1. That's all. Just to help me out a little bit. There's nothing wrong with the fingering in the book. I just don't like using thumb both. And that's pretty much the right hand. Now the left hand, let's see what it's up to. Measure 3, they want here. That's fine. You can do that. I can also do a 2, 3. Doesn't matter, but I need the thumb for measure 4 here. And then we're here. Then we have this chord. That's, you pretty much have to come up here for that. Otherwise, you got to do that. You got pretty large hands, but this is fine for measure 5. 2, 3, 4. And you can use on measure 6. You can do that if you like. I'll leave that up to you. I don't know how big your hands are. Measure 7, C, G7. You do that some more. Okay. Measure 17, half notes. Connect them. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Okay. Now for measure 20, the first ending, they want you here. I would rather not. All of these together is this. So I'm going to finger it that way. So I'm going to finger the C chord this way. This way the little finger's ready. So it's measure 19, then here. So I recommend a 3, 2, 1 there. Now in the second ending, it doesn't matter because you got to come down anyway. And this is very common in piano where we have to move like that. That's fine. Just do it. Don't like it, but do it anyway. Okay, put the hands together. Now, when I first put the hands together, I'll hesitate. I don't care. I just want to know which fingers are working together. So it starts like a measure 3. We're here. And it needs to sound like one hand playing all of that. Rest. As I'm playing the left hand, I get the right hand in position. And then I go. See, it's 1 and 2. This comes up on beat 2. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3. So it's important that on this left hands, it's a quarter note, quarter rest, quarter note, quarter rest. So make sure you're lifting these up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Not too bad by itself, but when you get the right hand involved, everything goes nuts. So again, measure 5, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 tricky, but that'll get you through most of this. Measure 17, you're going to connect actually connecting both hands here. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 1 and 2. Now measure 19, left hand comes up. And hold the right hand down for measure 20, it's a dotted half note. Then you come down. Repeat back to measure 5, the reverse repeats on. So I get the hands working together, and then I go back over it slowly and carefully, and I get rid of the hesitation so it's a steady beat at some speed. I can speed it up later, it's not important. I just no hesitations anywhere. Because sometimes you got to look down at the keyboard because you're moving, you got to look at the music, you got to get all that coordinated. Piece of cake, I guess. Now once I have the hesitations worked out, then I'll add the articulation. And the staccatos are going to be flexing at the wrist. They're going to be accents, and so we'll see what we got. We got here. Now be careful on these staccatos at the beginning. The tendency when we do that, we'll accent it. Because we're coming up, don't. No, it's just the natural accents on beat 1 and 3. And then an accent bit, measure 4, connect. It's pretty much connected except for the rest. At the bottom of page 341, measure 19 and start there. Here, boom, so. And here you can go ahead and lift up. It's a new phrase. Yeah. And you'll see in measure 20 at the end, for the eighth notes in the upper staff, there's a curved line that goes to nowhere. Well, that's how they do it when it breaks lines. You're going back to measure 5. So that curved line in measure 20 for the eighth notes is the same line as measure 5. It's the beginning of that line. You're connecting it. It's like the eighth notes in measure 4. You're connecting it. That's all it is. The last measure, you got a curved line coming from nowhere. Well, that's the curved line in measure 19. It's the finish of it. Because when you go to the second ending, you connect that. Now, a little bit about interpreting music. The last measure at the bottom. You have a dotted half note. Hold it down for 3 counts. It comes up on beat 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Comes up on beat 4. In the left hand, you got staccatos. In that case, the left hand's done before beat 4. Here. Up. Technically, that's how it would go. That's how you would interpret it. But in interpreting the piece, people will actually lift them both up together. That's not how it's written, but that's how they will interpret it. See, the written music is a general schematic, a general guide of how the music needs to go. And when you're first learning it, you follow it religiously. Very exact. Do exactly what it tells you to do. Then when you start interpreting the music, you might fudge it a little here and there. Yeah. For instance, in the first measure, the first ending, measure 20 here, I might just hold that down for a couple beats and give me a longer rest before I go up. See, I put in a quarter rest in there. That's interpreting the music. That comes after you learn it. A lot of teachers don't teach interpretation. Most of my teachers didn't. I got very little. I had to go figure it out. And read about it too. Now, once I have the articulation under control, then I add the dynamics. F at the beginning is forte is loud. And then the measure 4 is loud, and the accent makes it very loud. And then soft. And that's the right hand. The left hand is very soft. You crescendo. And this piece is good for this. Most pieces, when you have a statement, reply, and that's what this is. The statement, reply. Statement, reply. Statement. That's what it's doing here. It's a conversation, sort of. Well, most pieces, when they do that, the statement is loud, the reply is soft. Joplin did the opposite. He wants the statement soft and the reply is loud, and that's important. So this is soft, loud, soft, and he put in, or somebody's put in the arrows to get you there. In most cases, you don't get the arrows. It's all of a sudden, subito. So it's like at the beginning, now it's soft, loud. So you don't get the little arrows on here. In this arrangement, they do. Don't know why, but they did. So you go to help you get there or whatever. But in interpreting it, I would probably follow the more traditional arrangements and ignore the arrows. I would just all of a sudden change dynamics. Now in measure 17, you're starting that soft, and then a crescendo, and you're not getting loud until measure 20. So here you're kind of going to take each of these, and then a little louder, a little louder. See, it's like each measure, and that it just worked out that way. I did soft, and you come down here. That's sort of the dynamics. It's better if you can get into it and you can feel the dynamics. Then the speed, and Joplin himself put in not fast, because the tendency of most people is to play it as fast as I was doing. That's just, it's fun. I like it. It's fun. That's not what he wanted. He put in not fast. Slow it down. Beethoven would do similar stuff, only he would say allegro non troppo, fast but not too much. And here Joplin just said not fast. Now, listen to recordings, but again, be careful, because a lot of people, professionals included, will play this way too fast. It's not a fast piece. Now the roadmap, in case you're curious or confused, I don't know what you are. You have endings at the bottom of 341, and hopefully you understand those. When you get to the first ending, the repeat sign, that sends you back to the reverse repeat sign at measure 5, and you do that whole mess again. And then second time, you skip the first ending because you only do it once. You go to the second ending, and that ends it. And that's basically how it is, I think. Let's play this together very slowly and check the notes and the rhythms. I'm not going to do the dynamics. We're not performing it. We're just doing notes and rhythms, but I will do the staccatos and accents, and we will do the repeats and all that. So I'll give us 4 counts, Just very slowly, even one hand at a time if you need to. Now, this is after you can already play it, at least slowly with no hesitations. Don't try and learn it in this Play With Me section. Learn it first and check it in the Play With Me section. 1 and 2 and ready and go and 3 and 4 and rest and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. Two and three and 2 and 3. Repeat. 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. And 3. Last ending. Rest.